Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm going to be presenting my top 10 video on medium tanks. That's right, we're going to be looking at the best medium tanks in the game. Now, how have I decided what are the best medium tanks? Well, I'm basing it on average win ratio for the European server, which I've taken from the whatlife.com website. And to make sure that it's not just a list of premium tanks and reward vehicles, I've omitted those. So these are only going to be tech tree tanks. So all of these tanks that you see, you can get easily, well, maybe not easily, but you can get them without either spending money or having to complete missions. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this top 10 list of medium tanks in the game. In at number 10, it is the M46 Patton. This tier 9 American medium tank is an absolute powerhouse with regards to its damage per minute, packing 2,600 DPM. There are many tier 10 medium tanks that can't manage to pick apart their opponents that quickly, and so that means that when you get to engage your tier 7 and tier 8 tanks more frequently as you drop down to tier 9, that when you combine that with 10 degrees of gun depression, this thing is just an absolute monster. Wargaming, for some reason, just decided to buff the turret armor of this vehicle, I guess because they wanted to make the American medium tank line more of a bit of a heavy line, and it really just did catapult the M46 performance way up the charts. It went from being a glass cannon damage-dealing monster to now being a legitimate choice for anybody who wanted to really tank your opponents as long as you're only exposing your turret, and to punch back a lot harder and more often than they usually expect, which is why the M46 Patton is packing a 51.49% win ratio. At number 9, it is the M4A1 Sherman. This vehicle is so awesome with its 105mm main armament that it's actually one of the most profitable non-premium tanks you can play. And also, this derp gun is so powerful, I guess, that Wargaming want to pretty much rebalance every single high explosive round in the game because of basically about 3 or 4 tanks that I guess are kind of overperforming. The M4 Sherman uses this derp gun to be able to simply outtrade its opponents and manage to obliterate lightly armored tanks. This combined with a decent view range of 370 meters and 12 degrees of gun depression, and this thing is an absolute monster. And that's why the M4A1 Sherman is packing a 51.51% win ratio. If you race your way up the American medium tank tree and you forgot about this vehicle, maybe you just sold it, didn't think it was that good, I thoroughly recommend you go and try it again. Especially considering that Wargaming, to all intents and purposes, are going to nerf it next year with the Sandbox HE changes. In 8th place, it is the T-34-1. Wow, I did not expect this tank to be on the list, but in retrospect, I now know why Jingles all those years ago told me to check this tier 7 Chinese medium tank out. The turret armor on this vehicle is best in class for a medium tank, and it allows you to brawl and trade on ridge lines unlike other lightly armored mobile vehicles are able to. This pseudo-heavy type of armor that the vehicle has on the turret allows it to go hull down and just completely dominate. And when you combine that with the 100mm main armament the vehicle has with 250 damage and 175mm of penetration on its standard rounds, and it's no wonder that this vehicle is performing so admirably. So admirably, in fact, that the vehicle has a 51.61% win ratio, and, well, as you might have seen from my tier list yesterday, while the top tier Chinese tanks are suffering a little bit, maybe the mid tiers are worth playing. At number 7, it is the T-20. Oh, this pains my heart, boys and girls. You know how much I love the Comet, and really, this tank is kind of like an American Comet, but it even came out before the Comet did. I have to admit, I think it's probably the superior tank, at least holistically, for everybody who wants to play that hull down medium tank playstyle. The American tier 7 medium tank with its 90mm main armament really does pack a punch with 240 alpha damage, and 10 degrees of gun depression means that it can work a ridgeline a lot like its older brothers can. The T-20 is just so versatile, and it packs a whopping 390 meters view range, which means that even with a bad crew, you can still be able to spot your opponents at a good distance and help your allies, or even just engage them when they can't see you. Accordingly, the T-20 currently has a 51.7% win ratio. The only thing that holds the T-20 back is poor damage per minute, but I guess alpha damage is king, and I gotta give it to you, America. Looks like you did it best. In 6th place, it is the first tier 10 tank on this list. Will it be the last? Well, I guess we're going to have to wait and find out. It is the tier 10 Japanese medium tank, the SDB-1. And this thing is just an absolute beast since Wargaming buffed it to have a 14 degrees gun depression when you use the hydropneumatic suspension on this tank, combined with over 3,000 damage per minute and a very sweet spot alpha damage of 360, which allows you to lock down the tracks of your opponents and keep them locked down with an 8.45 round a minute rate of fire. And this tier 10 Japanese medium tank is looking like definitely the best 105mm wielder inside the game. As if this wasn't enough of a buff to the tank, Wargaming also made the reverse speed 25 kilometers an hour, allowing you to stop most heavy tanks from being able to progress to get your sides, as well as buffing the gun handling to a great 2-second aim time and good gun dispersion values. And so the STB-1 has now got a 51.72% win ratio in World of Tanks. At number 5, it is the Object 430U. Yeah, I guess the STB-1 wasn't the only tier 10 tank in this list, right? The Object 430U should come as no surprise as one of, if not the most dominant tier 10 medium tank. 440 Alpha, no problem. Incredible upper hull armor, no problem. Fairly decent amount of mobility to be able to get round wherever you want to get, yeah, no problem. 400 meters view range so you can spot, 340mm of heat penetration for when the going gets tough, or should I say going gets hot. And the only thing that really holds this tank back is it has worst in class accuracy at 0.4. But really, inside World of Tanks, considering this vehicle is so high up, I think it only shows just how relevant accuracy is as a statistic in the current meta of things. This vehicle is so strong that Wargaming were very close to nerfing it this year, but for some reason decided that they weren't going to, almost as if the vast majority of people who play this game in the world are Russian, right? Accordingly, the Object 430U is packing a fantastic win ratio of 51.82. And this beginner-friendly vehicle gets my top pick for both new players and experienced players alike. In 4th place, it is the Samoa S35. This tank was possibly the biggest shock of the list for me, but when I went and I reviewed the statistics of this vehicle, it really did open my eyes. This tank is fast at 45 kilometers an hour, has 40mm of all-round turret armor, including 60mm at the back, 47mm of hull armor, which means that Panzer IIJs can't even pen you with premium rounds, Panzer ICs are never going to be able to pen you, and 330 meters view range, which means that you're going to be able to outspot most of the enemy tanks at tier 3, as long as you're packing binoculars, of course, with the vehicle, a 1.7 second aim time, 0.38 accuracy, and more importantly, penetration of 66mm, which means that you can go through any vehicle of equal tier and most higher tier vehicles as well without the need to fire premium rounds. The result is that this filthy little seal clubber is packing a 51.84% win ratio. And if any of you out there do decide to pick this one up on the battlefield, please go easy on the seals. In 3rd place, it is the Skoda T50. This tier 9 Czechoslovakian medium tank is the vehicle that I've probably had my most tense and favorite game of World of Tanks of all time. And that's because it's just great at everything. It's got mobility, view range, it's got a 3-round 100mm autoloader capable of doing 960 damage within 3.6 seconds of the first shot. It's accurate, it's got decent gun handling, it's got a nice aim time. And while its armor isn't great, its turret armor can actually surprise its opponents, and you're going to make use of that turret armor, considering that this vehicle has 8 degrees of gun depression, making it quite flexible on a ridgeline. This tank is just absolutely incredible at tier 9. It's definitely one of the most dominant medium tanks in the game, tier for tier, and accordingly, it's the first vehicle on this list to break the 52% win ratio mark. Quite often in World of Tanks, I describe vehicles as the Diet Coke version of the tier 10. And I can tell you, the Skoda T50 is definitely full fat. In 2nd place, it is the Matilda. This is my biggest recommendation for a new player to go to just start to learn the key game mechanics. Its armor, its 75mm of all-round armor will protect you against most vehicles, not all vehicles, but most of them, as long as you look after yourself well, with incredible aim time of 1.9 seconds and great accuracy of 0.36 for tier 4. 1,300 and 41 meters a second shell velocity means that you're going to be able to not have to give lead at your targets, and you can just auto aim at them and hold down that mouse button if you need to be able to focus on the other things that you're trying to get to grips with when you first start playing the game. I have seen more Rizene Heroes medals in this tank than any other vehicle in the game, and that's because it's just completely overpowered, making it one of the low-tier British gems that anyone can get their hands on. But trust me, for all of you Seal Clubbers out there, it's not fun, furious vehicle to play, as it does have limited mobility at 24 kilometers an hour. But if that's not going to stop you, then you're in for a treat, as this thing currently has an average win ratio of 52.03%. In first place, it is the Object 430. Wow, a vehicle so good that it not only appeared at tier 10 earlier, it's also going to appear at tier 9 as arguably the best tank tier for tier in the game in the medium class. This vehicle actually used to be a tier 10 tank inside the game, so it's no wonder that it's doing so well at tier 9. It has 390 alpha damage, a decent penetration of 238, premium penetration with 270 millimeters. Its accuracy is again the only thing that holds it down, only further proving that accuracy doesn't really matter all that much in World of Tanks when you're packing 120 millimeters of frontal hull armor, 248 millimeters of frontal turret armor, combined with 1,800 hit points means that if for some reason your armor stops working, you have the durability to keep on going in the battlefield and simply outtrade your opponents with 390 alpha damage. This vehicle pretty much sums up the meta of World of Tanks. You need enough mobility to rush into position, and then enough turret armor and upper hull armor specifically to be able to grind out your opponents, and equally enough alpha damage to hopefully be able to outtrade them. Accordingly, the Object 430 has the highest average win ratio of any freely available medium tank at 52.06. And considering that its bigger brother, the Object 430U, came in at 5th position on this list, is there any doubt which is the best starting medium tank tech tree to go for in the current meta of World of Tanks? And so there you have it, the top 10 best medium tanks currently in the game. Now these videos always take me a long time to do, so if you want to see more of them, make sure you give it a like, and let me know in the comments if any of these tanks completely caught you by surprise, or if there are any tanks missing from this list that you thought might make into it. And if you want to see my other top 10 videos, and there's a bunch of them on this channel, I'll try and put a playlist in the comments down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.